Good evening, everyone. 12th of February, another action-packed day of loads of bollocks, to be honest. I'm joined by what's-his-name and Yabba tonight.
Sorry. Off time. I apologize, man.
I've been doing this like 3 years now, Mr. B, and like, I'm not here. You're just going, yeah, what's his name? What's his name? Unbelievable.
Sorry, man.
What's this about? Have I missed something here?
Gee, I just didn't call him by his name yesterday. I called him what's his name more than one occasion.
I watched it, I didn't watch it, but I listened to it during my run, and I was absolutely furious. I started banging that pavement much harder than I should have. But how are you, Mr. B, in your old Minorians kit?
I'm good, man. I'm on chill mode, man. I'm waiting for the weekend, man. I just want the weekend to come.
Yeah, you're not going to be shouting at anyone tonight, or?
Oh no! Was I shouting at anybody? I haven't been shouting at anybody, have I? I think I've been good.
Yeah, you've been very good.
Scared to address you sometimes.
It's just we got some transfer news tonight, or links with transfer stuff, and I know how that makes you feel. But how are you doing?
Yeah, just have a good giggle on the private chat. But otherwise, yeah, I'm doing all right, man. Just done a late shift. Came back late and just watched the game. I started watching Bayern Munich, then I went and watched Liverpool, and then I luckily saw the ending of the game with the goal and the offside and the Curtis Jones and the Corre going at it. You know, real passion, and you couldn't make this up. I was saying things to myself when it was like 2-1. I thought, I'm going to switch over now because Liverpool clearly won the game. But in the back of my mind, I thought, no, that's not how the script goes. It always goes with their last game. They built it up all day on the radio, you know, and I've been hearing about Goodison's last game. Surely something's going to happen. So we'll luckily tune back in the last minute. And there you go. There was a late winner for Jagielka. Not Jagielka.
Tarkowski.
What's the name?
Tarkowski,
that's the one, yeah. Yeah, but proper. You know what really makes me laugh about that? Because the scouts are really like, come on in, come on, you want it, you know, like, always wanted to fight. And like when you see Curtis Jones and scouts and arguing with fans and all the fans, you can see the passion. You know, really. What's Harry Enfield used to do a skit, didn't he? With
calm down.
Calm down, that's the one. Yeah. Calm down.
It's not going to be loads of money with Scousers, is it?
But yeah. So just been watching a bit of football this evening, and now ready to talk all things Man United.
Well, we can go back to that match because I quite enjoyed it, but we're going to do some comments first. With better Scholes on the overlap appears to be getting more and more senile. I've got a very, very different take on this, to be honest. We've got Steph in the house. Good evening to you. Andrew has discovered Google Translate and now is trying to pretend to be Italian. I reckon I can understand a bit of Italian, Andrew, but no more Italian, please. You're only allowed to use Spanish or English in this chat. Shout out to POTUS. Big up yourself. Shout out to Isa.
Sorry, man.
It's all right. Shout out to Emma K. How you doing, Emma? Football theatre. It's become so obvious in the top leagues. What does that mean?
Rigged.
Oh, it's rigged, is it?
I assume you say that, but yeah, you could. Yeah, there's an argument to be made about that. Yeah.
Well, can they rig it so that we can win?
Yes, please.
It's in cycles. It's also in cycles, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Love that Decore silenced the Reds. He had a good game, Decore. And Taboo is just saying, let things go. Did you, Mr. B, did you watch the Liverpool-Everton match?
Yeah, I watched the game. It was I did want them to lose, but it was never going to happen. A draw is as good as it gets for Everton, I suppose. But yeah, it was a good game. was a good game. All the good games are the games that don't involve us at the moment.
I was really impressed with Everton watching them. To be honest, like the amount of second balls they win is unbelievable. Like, and I thought that Branthwaite, we've got to get him to the club. He's such a good player. No?
Oh, what for 195 million pounds now? Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, we've been linked with two centre backs today. I know one of them. I don't know the other one. It's called Lekeba or something, and he's at 75 million. I think you can get Branthwaite for 75 million, surely.
Man United don't have 75 million pounds to spend on one player half time.
Can I ask, Bramford, I'm forgetting that because I haven't spoken about him for so long. Is he Scouse? Has he come up through Everton or is he bought from somewhere
Yeah,
else?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know if he's a Scouser. He's come through
He's gone
there.
off my radar. I haven't really watched. I wasn't even observing he was playing today when I was watching the game. But you said he done well. But from what I saw, it wasn't like put your foot on the ball and pass it. It's kind of game. It was a out and out sort of old school, sort of long ball, direct, physical duel.
He had an assist.
Oh right, I didn't realise.
Did you see Everton's first goal?
I don't think I did. No.
Oh, it's really nice. Like Kanate is a player that I think is a little bit overrated because I think he's too aggressive. Like Van Dijk defends space in behind him. Like Van Dijk is the best defender at going backwards.
Yeah.
Kanate, he's always a bit too aggressive. He always tries to get ahead. And they had that Beto guy run off the back of him at a free kick, and Branthwaite played the ball through really, really tight, and he opened his body up and played it in. It was a really, really nice free kick.
Branthwaite's on free kicks.
It was from deep. It wasn't like out like on a wing or something. It was like
Okay.
it was in that spot where that the guy that chipped the City keeper the other day. It was taken from that kind of area.
Okay.
And it was just a nice ball through. I was really impressed with it. But shout out to Subvids.
I'll definitely watch him from now on. Now that you said that, because I haven't really been observing him. I thought it was done with. That was all over and done with. But I'll definitely give him a watch from now on.
I really think like he's got it. Yeah, but like I saw shout out to him, Mikel Antonio. I hope he recovers.
Yeah.
But I saw him playing against West Ham, and he battered Antonio all over the shop. And I haven't seen many players do that.
Can do that. Yeah, he's strong, isn't he, Antonio?
Yeah, like Jared Branthwaite. I don't want to big him up too much, but he is a better player at that age than Van Dijk was at his age. He's genuinely one of the best young centre backs I've seen for ages. Like. I know he's more right-footed than left-footed, to be honest, but I'd love to get him in. Which, Mr. B, brings us to our first story. Unless do you want to do the money stuff with Ineos?
With the fact that they're getting, it's such bad pee. They are a mess, man. That whole situation just seems to me like a mess. So they're getting sued by the New Zealand,
All Blacks.
Yeah, by the New Zealand Rugby Union or Rugby Federation, for not paying whatever they were supposed to have paid. $3 million? The first installment. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not saying it's pittance because they're saving. But
It is to Ineos.
It's a disgrace, man. It looks as they're just shafted. They just want to be saving money here, there, and everywhere. To be fair.
Well, I mean, from what I read, because there's a more interesting story, to be honest, about Ineos today. But from what I read, Ineos are saying that because of the deindustrialization of Europe, which is things like carbon taxes, more regulation, that the market has changed for them. They're not able to give that kind of outlay, which I believe it would be 30 million for the rest of the deal, which I don't think is a huge amount for a company that makes 6 or 7 billion a year. But like they're trying to renegotiate it. And I know my mate Jim and what he got up to in Darlington and in Middlesbrough, and he'll be doing. This is part of something else in my view. Like I think that he's playing a different game where he's going to try and put pressure on our government to deregulate things, saying like, look, this is a direct result of it. Because I've seen him do this before with Ineos. They did it up in Aberdeen as well.
God. So what's he coming to Man United now to act as a fucking semi-politician?
Well, we've lost Rashford, so we've got to get a new one in, I guess.
Fuck it.
All right, that's the boring bit. Now, the more interesting part of like Ineos today is that without the money that they've put into the club, the 300 million, Jamie Jackson, who's a decent reporter, and The Athletic have both said that the club would have gone under without that money. Like that is how close to the line we are, like in terms of like cash and things.
So we want to make an apology from Mr. B for cutting Ineos just a second ago.
Why?
Thank you,
Why?
Ineos, for saving
Why?
us.
So what? So what? The
We said he wouldn't count, watch.
the 5p that they saved from the charity. You know, we're not going to say that the money that they saved from fucking Rashford fucking off and Sancho fucking off. You know, oh shit. Oh look.
Are you addicted to having a potty mouth?
It winds me up, bro. Honestly,
Really?
they proper.
Got him.
Yeah, you did, and that was really quick as well. It's all right, you won't get me again. You know what it is? It's bath time, soothing tones. You know what I mean? He relaxes me.
A bubble bath.
Yeah, I fall into the trap. You know what I mean? I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll just. Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, it does though, man. It does my nutting, man. Sorry.
Yeah, so apparently Ineos, I've read today as well that they're making more further cutbacks. They're looking to scrimp and scrape and sort of make some savings elsewhere. And it upset a lot of people when they sort of made people redundant and got rid of some sort of staff, didn't they? So, yeah, it looks like they're doing it again. But if they're saved, like you just said, I didn't know that they've spent their money, their 300 million they invested in the club, saved the club, then they've obviously got our best interest at heart. So we have to back them. And I know I'm really surprised from after what we've been through with the Glazers and the target, that they were a major target. Say, what was the thing they were taking out the club every year?
Dividends.
Dividends talk. The Glazers. Suddenly we've got the saviours come in, as in Ineos, to take over and start to deal with the football matters and, you know, be a bit more transparent with everybody and say, look what we're doing, even it's the good and the bad. And now,
bad. What good have they done? Sorry, what good have they done?
They've, as Bartham just mentioned, 300 million saved the club from going into administration or something.
Yeah, maybe what he should have done is kept his nose out of the club and made it have gone somewhere else then. Because you come into the club with Johnny Big Balls, like you can afford to put petrol in the Bentley that you scrimped and saved and borrowed for, and you can't drive the car nowhere.
Well,
because you're frass.
I think now things are all coming out. You realise why there was only sort of maybe two, if not just one person or company interested or country interested in taking over Man United, because probably everyone realised we're in a shambles and it would be a really difficult deal to get done. So, and not many people would have that money anyway. But I do believe, I still like some doubt about the bidder, the second bidder, whoever, Sheikh
Jassim.
Yeah, I just still a few doubts about that. So I'm backing Ineos. I don't see why people would turn against them. You have to make cutbacks. The difference is with me, you know, what's done in the dark always comes to light, and they are just bringing everything to light and saying this is what we do.
It doesn't always come to light, Yabba. It doesn't. Don't talk shit.
He's just psyched about JFK files being released.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe when we pass away, things will come out, you know.
Well, then we're not going to know, are we? We're not going to know them.
But my point is that Ineos, what I do like about them is transparency. They're showing you their hand. They're showing.
They don't have no choice. They don't have no choice. They can't. It's not transparency. I'm sure if they could keep half of the things quiet, they would. As soon as Ratcliffe farts, somebody's telling you what it smells like. Yeah, there's nothing that they can do at the moment that nobody don't know about.
Okay.
All right. Before we continue this, because I also have some comments on this. Yeah, but have you ever seen Independence Day?
Will Smith.
Yeah.
I watched it a long time ago when it first came out.
Right,
I'm
the
looking forward to
aliens.
Captain America, by the way. But anyway, yeah,
So-
go on.
The aliens bowl up and they get around all the landmarks in the world. And I remember vividly from the first film that a girl goes up and she holds a sign up saying aliens are welcome. And whenever we talk about people in authority, you always act the way that she does. You just love like people coming in. It's I know it's such a strange part of your character about your love of authority.
No,
Yes.
you got me all wrong. I'm giving you the wrong impression. Anyway, forget that. Let's talk about what you've got to say about this man.
No, I want to do the comments and then I'll tell you what I think. First of all, we got We Deserve Better, who's very anti like Ineos. Who's behind Ineos's PR? I don't know. Probably Yapper. Jim Ratcliffe, it's what it says in his surname. Never wanted him in the first place. Sacking staff who've been there for years. I think that's the big thing here, Yabba, is the negative part is the staff sackings. I believe that the 200 sackings is a bit of an exaggeration. I think what they're doing is they're contracting out to an agency, so that
they're going to sack them.
Sorry.
So the agency's going to sack them.
I'm not sure if I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think that what's going to happen is that their contracts are going to be taken over by an agency, as opposed to Manchester United, like cost cutting, like tax evasion, that kind of stuff. I would imagine. But well, they can sue me, and I'll just double up with the New Zealand rugby team.
Yeah, they might see the channel. What have we got? 4p.
Yeah, I need my electric robot. Don't I?
Exactly. That's what we're saving for first. We've got to send it to Bristol, didn't we?
Yeah. And we've got Yali. Apparently he deserves a strawberry pie. Not at this time, my friend. That's Mr. B stuff to have a pudding at this time of night. Okay, Rashford was giving to the common person, not taking from them. I agree with that. Ineos are an absolute nightmare. We got Will Williams in the house, he enjoys you swearing, Mr. B. Andrew is just having one about why is everyone an expert on running a business. I do agree, to be honest, that like you really need to research these things, because there's a lot of bollocks put out about Ineos and rules and things like that, and you've got to understand that we're still a publicly listed company, so there's got to be a degree of opaqueness. Like, you can't just be completely transparent about these things, because you'll tank the share price. Ineos are here to make money with a new football village. Their prize. Their eyes are on also fracking. Anyone? Fracking incoming? What do you mean? Like, do you think that Ineos are going to get a big drill and go underneath Old Trafford and drill out some gas? Like, they have plots around Old Trafford. Like, they have one very, very close to Old Trafford, but it doesn't cover Old Trafford. But you have, like, a canal and a railway line next to it. No one is drilling under Old Trafford. I doubt that that's part of it. We got Rich. Hello, Rich. Shaking Stevens, this old house. Yabba, do you...
Green door.
Okay. Andrew's now moved on to calling the Sheikh a fraud. Yali. Glazers and Ratcliffe are night and day compared to each other. Glazers gave the club nothing. Ratcliffe gave the club 300 million, took responsibility of the mess the club is in. I couldn't agree more, to be honest. Stuart, I keep meaning to text Stuart. Glazers out, Radcliffe out, Roses in. If I were Amrin, I'd be shaking in my boots with the thought of playing against Everton in 2 weeks' time. Honestly, I think Everton are going to finish above us from what I've seen. What is this Erda Ratcliffe?
You know what? Sometimes I wonder what goes on in Steph's head, you know.
Rich doesn't think Ineos have hit the ground running with some of their decisions. Oh, look at this. Yabba loves authority. This is just the impression you give off. Fracking is illegal anyway. Right. I reckon the Ineos are doing an all right job myself.
Yeah.
They can't put any more money into the club, I think, until the summer, where I'm hoping that they'll buy more shares. The real issue is that they have to use that debt that we have, like as a club, as leverage against the Glazers to get them out. Like there's no way that anyone in their right mind is going to pay that debt off, and they have to cut costs and things like that. So I think that they're doing okay. I'm not happy with their appointment of Amarin alongside trying to build a new stadium. It's absolutely crazy. But I think they're all right, and I think that they're getting a bit of a hard time on social media because the club is in 12th, and that we haven't made any silly signings in January.
We're not in 12th.
We're in 13th.
I'm asking. I should have said question mark at the end of it. I don't know. I've stopped looking. I just know that we're above Tottenham. That's all that I worry about.
Yeah. Imagine. I mean, Jesus. Shows how bad it's getting at Tottenham as well. They've got a new stadium. But yeah, I think that Ineos have done okay. Not been perfect. They've done okay, but we've got to get a handle on our finances before we can get forward as a football club. And I'm not even sure I put the blame wholly on the Glazers. It's Ed Woodward is the one that really stands out to me for financial mismanagement, certainly about the transfers that we've done over the years, because we've spent enough money to be competitive. Like we've got the biggest spend in the last 10 years, and it's more the sort of mismanagement of personnel and transfers and things like that. And so I don't know, Mr. B.
Don't ask me, mate. I know a lot less than you, bruv.
What are your thoughts on Ineos?
Just what they are. They are what they are. They have to make cuts, granted. I just don't see the little teeny weeny cuts being the ones that needed to be done. You know, I'm sure there was other ways of cutting. Yeah, cutting the jobs, granted. There was probably a whole heap of waste man sitting down at home, working from home, watching bloody YouTube. You know what I mean? Not doing no work. I would like to hope that those are the ones who weren't doing their job are the ones that were sacked. You know, the rat inspector, you know, the health hygienist or whatever. I hope they're the ones that have been sacked as well. You know what I mean? The ones who embarrassed the club, the person who was supposed to fix the roof how much years ago, I hoped he was the one that has been sacked. You know what I mean? I understand they sacked a lady who'd been there for 30 years today. Or they've made them. I mean, you know, there's decisions that are being made at the moment, bath time, that I just think are ridiculous. You know, they want to buy, what's this America's yacht thing that they were doing. If you want to cut back Ineos, cut back and do it properly. You know what I mean? There's a whole load of stuff going on. So we're never going to know everything. We're never going to know what all of the spending is. And I do understand that when you come in, this is what companies do. They streamline things. I get that. And I understand that. The fact that they shifted out certain players, I'm happy with, on the big wages who aren't playing. Yeah, they're saving it again as well. But they spent, what, 30 million in the January window just gone? What was that? So we really spent 10. Yeah?
Why?
Right?
What do you mean we only spent 10?
Well, we spent 30. They didn't give them a whole 30 up front, did they?
Oh, I see. Yeah, it'll be on installments, I would think.
Right. So come the summer now, when everybody starts jigging in their pants about who is supposed to be buying, there's going to be more excuses. They're already cutting money. Do you know what I mean? I just don't. So I just don't see how it. I just don't see how it gets any better by half time. To be fair, I just don't see how it gets any better. Other than Amarin turning these players from shit into sugar, I don't see it.
And this is the big one for me, to be honest, is that they're putting the debt, they're putting the mismanagement of the club onto fans now. Like that's unacceptable.
But I mean, how much money are they going? And this is my point. How much money are they really going to make from doing that? Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be. It's not going to be enough to.
Well, I don't know if it's actually about how much money they're making. I think it's probably about cash flow. Like it's money coming into the club because.
Yeah, but surely, by half time, how much money is it going to be? How much? I mean, I don't even know how much kids go, you know, or whatever. But surely it can't be more than. I don't know.
Well, would you say 25% of the crowd is children?
No way, less than that. It's going to be less than that.
Why?
It's going to be less than that. I'll tell you who, Stuart. He'll be able. He'll be able to let us. Well, he's not going to be able to give us an exact figure.
I think he can.
You've 20. So you reckon 17,000 of the supporters there are kids?
Yeah. I'd say 15 to 20,000. I would say would be children. Weedser Bet says it's about 12%. Weedser Bet is normally quite good with statistics and things, so we'll call that 15%. So that I'm right. 25%. But the thing is that like with the 66 for kids, that's gone up. What is it? 50%. It's gone up.
Oh wow. I was going to ask there, what's the difference?
It's a lot. It was a lot.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a big increase.
Yeah, so it's a substantial amount of money and for the club, but I just think it's awful. Like I hate the fact that everyone gets so excited about transfers and is always like, let's go out and buy. And at the end of the day, it's us that end up paying for it with rising IPTV costs, Sky subscriptions, ticket prices.
We haven't been in the Champions League. How much, just roughly, do we know how much we're losing out by not playing?
That's a whole lot of money. That's a whole lot of money.
Looking at Aston Villa and their spending, I know they got that Duran money in, but I think that they've made a lot of money from the Champions League this year. I think we're really missing out on Champions League.
So sacrifices have to be made from me being out of that competition. We have to. Maybe when we do get back in there and we're consistently in competition like that, maybe then they will start to sort of balance things out again. You know, you talk about that. Like where I work, for example, we see inflation every year, and then we see how much increase we get from our pay rise every year. It's not the same as inflation. We complain about it, but nothing's ever done, you know. They always come up with some stupid excuse in their annual report as to why, you know, they're having to finance this and finance that. And then when you look at it, I bet they've got loads of money in some bank getting interest from that, just sitting there, not spending it. So we know how business works. We know how it goes. And unfortunately, it's always the people at the bottom that have to suffer. And it seems
prop it up.
Yeah. So it just shows you the value of fans and what difference fans can make if they get together and get united. So this thing about the £66, I don't know why it has to be 66. I'm not doing numerology or anything, but I just don't like the number. But with that sort of price, well, it would have been, if you got up 50%, it would be 33. So it's still bad, you know, it's still bad with numbers. But what I'm saying is, if that's a big increase, and I think there has to be some sort of way, because you've always said, Bartime, it's a community club, that we can make a protest and get through. Because what's happening, we distance ourselves from the wardens, the governors, to the fans. That distance, that communication is becoming a bit huger with these big businesses like Ineos and the Glazers or whatever coming through. You want to see the communication becoming better between the two and feeling like we can make a difference. So if we could turn this around and say, we're complaining about it for £66. My son gets £10 a week of paper round. I just expect him to go, you know, to a game of 66.
£10 a week for a paper round?
I don't know. I used to.
Oh.
yeah, I think.
I'm gonna say there's no way it's 10, but no way it's 10.
What do you reckon they're doing for paper round these days? They don't do paper rounds, do they anymore?
I think so.
I have no idea, mate.
Yeah. I used to get. Well, I remember last time I did it, I was probably getting about £7.
I'm sure it was £7. Yeah, I'm sure it was £7 a day.
A pound.
Did he say a day?
So £1 a day. So
Pound
I was going
day,
to say, I was on about £7. I'm sure my
Yeah.
paper round was. I'm sure it was £8 because the Sunday they had the big newspaper,
Yeah.
the Times, so they used to get double our money in it. So
right.
I didn't do Sundays.
Why not?
Why?
Why? I had to go to church.
Oh right, okay,
fair enough.
The church starts at 10:30, doesn't it? You'd be able to get your paper round done by then.
No, but
yeah, but confession took me a long time.
Anyway.
I'm really excited about this, actually. Is that confirmed, Tyrone, GTA 6 for September? Yes, sorry. I think that, like, from what we're hearing from Stuart and other people in chat, I mean, like, everyone's here, Farn and so on. Like, it's difficult to sort of, like, read all your comments and things, but there's a big divide between the club, the team, the management, the staff. It really is just such a dark time at United at the moment. Yeah, but please do not give me any nonsense here.
All right, here's just put it out there. Do you think it would matter? Is it always down to the performances on the pitch? Does all this moaning and groaning and whining come down to the performance?
No.
How poor we are as a football team?
No.
Because when we were under the Glazers and winning Champions League in 2008...
What do you mean when we were? We still are under. Are you blinded?
No, I'm saying when we won the Champions League in 2008, the Glazers were in charge.
But Fergie had... They were in there, but Fergie had control of things, man. Brother, come on now.
We weren't spending any money.
Yeah, but we had Fergie, man.
Right.
Yeah, but so 2008, was that where the payment in kind loan scandal started? Where it looked like the club might be getting... It was finished in 2010, but they had to... The Glazers, the only time they've ever put money into the football club was when they had to buy up the payment in kind debts to stop banks taking control of the club. So it was pretty bad then. Like, did we not start Manchester Football Club or something in response to the Glazers taking over and things? Like, there's always been that bad blood towards them.
But my point is, if the football team's doing well, some of this stuff is ignored. It's only coming to light now, sort of surfacing, because we're really unhappy with what's going on. See the comments? I saw a comment there saying, "Oh, the club's in the shambles," that kind of thing. If we were battling top four and challenge for the league, that would be on the back burner. I would deal with that another time.
Absolutely not.
Doing well.
Absolutely not. The ticket prices
doing well. The fans would be kind of
the ticket prices, the people losing their jobs. It's destroying things. I mean, like, during COVID, we acted quite well, I think, as a football club. Like, I think Liverpool tried to take a furlough, didn't they? And we were the first club to say that we weren't taking money from the government and stuff like that. And that was the proper sort of, like, community leadership that I expect from Manchester United. The 66 quid for away tickets, fans, like, from other clubs invading our ground and ripping down banners and so on, people losing their jobs. I think there'd be a bad feeling around the club regardless of where we were in the league. It might not be pronounced, but you want to tell, like, Stuart, like, that, prices are going up, but we're doing well, so shut up and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, fair enough.
And shout out to Elite Baller and Obi Martin, got another hat-trick tonight. Did you see any of the footage?
I've watched it, yeah.
Dreadful standard, isn't it? Like,
the goals weren't... Like, you want to see him, like, he's got electric pace. He's just a guy who knows how to score in the box. He always gets himself in a good position, anticipates things and scores. He's bigger, taller than most of these defenders. It was against Chelsea, mind you. And big up to the midfielder who scored 2 as well. He looks really good. But the goals are good. But I've read the comment and just scrolling through saying he's not ready yet for the first team. And I do agree. I don't think he's ready for the first team yet.
I absolutely agree. I think it's fantastic what that team is doing. But that doesn't look like a player that is ready for Premier League football, to be honest. And I'd like to see a bit more of an aggressive loan policy from United, to be honest. Like I'm trying to think of our last successful loan, and it's probably Ahmad, isn't it?
Sunderland, yeah.
And you can see that I think that that's put him in good health, Ahmad, to deal with like knockbacks and things like that. He's got a much better attitude than a lot of our players. All right, do you want to get on to? Should we do Scholesy next?
Yes, please. Because I'm not too familiar with this story. But
right. So Scholesy went on the overlap and was once again extremely critical of Manchester United. And the comment that has sort of generated the most heat is he said that Yoro, De Ligt and Martinez are nowhere near the standard that you need to win a Premier League. Yeah. So we'll start off with that before Martinez's very childish response to it. But I'm not completely convinced by De Ligt. I think that Yoro has got a lot of potential, but obviously he needs experience. Very few players at that age, and Martinez I've never really been a fan of. But as our resident defender, Yabba, what do you think to those comments?
Nothing wrong with it. First of all, Paul Scholes is one of my favourite players. He's qualified to talk about things, and he might tell you some truths that we might not want to hear. And what I do like about him is that he might be a bit like, but at least he's honest about it, the good and the bad, you know. And for him to give praise about something, that person must be good. If someone gets praised by Paul Scholes, you want to check that guy and say, he's got to be a good player, because Scholes doesn't hand out good praise that easily. So clearly the quote is, I haven't seen the show, but he just said there that those three players, you're not going to win a Premiership with those three players. And when I look at the team,
would we have won it with Maguire and Luke Shaw?
He didn't mention Maguire, did he?
He didn't. Or Lindelof. No, and we got a lot closer with those players than we did with the ones that we have now.
Maguire. There you go. So let's put some respect on his name. But he's right. Yoro's too young. De Ligt, there's question marks about him.
He's been there one season.
Well, I rated him before.
I've got question marks on him.
Now, watching him, I'm still thinking, wow, maybe he needs to step up. He definitely.
Right. So Xerxes, you're going to give time, and De Ligt, you're not going to give any time, right?
Well, Xerxes, I haven't seen enough of. I've seen Xerxes.
But you've seen enough, so they've been here the same amount of time. But you've seen.
No. So what I mean with Xerxes, he's obviously had a season in Bologna. He's just starting out in football. We had a good season in Bologna. Played really well there. But at the highest level, we haven't seen him consistently. It's only this season he's coming in, he's going to have to find his feet. Whereas De Ligt, since he was 18 years old and captain of the side at Ajax, he was a captain. He was getting into semi-finals of Champions League, deep into competition. He's got signed by Juve, got signed by Bayern Munich. He's had a good run, and it's always, when these teams, big teams like that, get rid of players who are at prime age, questions have to be asked. So what is going on? We thought it was to do with injury, but maybe he's just not up for it. Maybe he hasn't got the ability, the mobility for a top-rate defender these days. I don't know. But I'm going to make a judgment at the end of the year. I don't want to sort of say too much yet, but I do have severe question marks about him. I want to see more from him before I make a judgment. But I'm a bit worried about him. And Martinez, definitely not Premiership winning material when it comes to being a centre-back. You look at Arsenal, look at Liverpool, look at their centre-backs. Martinez wouldn't get close to that side.
I kind of agree. I agree with that, and I was also very pleased to hear Scholesy say that it concerned him that De Ligt had played for so many different managers and different clubs, because that's something that I say a lot. So I was very happy to hear Scholesy saying that. I kind of have to agree with Mr. B on this, though, that I think that if you're going in on De Ligt, you got to go in on Xerxes, and I'm going to go in on both of them. They're nowhere near the quality that you need to win a Premier League, and with both of them, I think De Ligt is nearer to the quality that you need to get to maybe Europa or something like that. He's an experienced player in European football. It's just, even in his national team and at the clubs he's been at, no one's really liked him apart from like at Ajax, and that does concern me.
Can we dirty out this? For one, he's not a defender. The issue was about defenders, and he's talking about them.
No, just about players. No, you brought up defenders, but you've got to give the players the same amount of time. You're making judgments on one player and not making a judgment on another player. Why? Because he's a forward. Because he reminds you of Ronaldinho.
No, I think that we're dealing with the defenders here. He's talking about 3 defenders. You can't just throw in.
Well, a bit more context than Yabba. The defenders came up because he was talking about the spine of a team. Is that you need solid dependability in the spine, and then you have the extras, as it were, out wide. And he mentioned that basically the strikers are not good enough, the midfield's not good enough, and the defence aren't good enough. And then he was giving a bit of pushback, saying, like De Ligt, Yoro, they're good players, and he basically said that he didn't think that they were. I think he's a bit unfair on Yoro, to be honest, because he's 19 years old. And, of course, he's not going to be good enough at the moment, but you expect him to grow.
It's not some sort of big revelation. We're 13th in the league. We're well off being a title contender or a title winner. So that's just, plain obvious. I just think bringing Xerxes into this argument, you're trying to, get something out of me, I reckon, get me to react. It's got nothing to do with Xerxes. We're talking about, I know you're saying, the same standards should apply to the strikers, whatever, if he's assessing it like that. But I just think let's focus on the defence. And the defence, what he said, those 3 players, I want to hear what Mr. B has to say about them. Are they good enough, in your opinion, or do you agree with Scholes that he suggested that we're not going to win anything with these sort of guys?
Have we got anybody? Is there anybody in our team that we can win a title without that?
True.
That's what we got to look at. All right, we've got you say Bruno, one player. Bruno in a different team or in a different system, then because in the systems that we want him to play in, he's not succeeded in. So we have no players who are capable of doing that at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
Europa is our level. Let's be honest. We win the Europa this year. I'm over the moon. That's our level. You go into Champions. As we were saying yesterday, we go into Champions League and get our arse handed to us on the plate and finish 19th and 26th. It's not going to be funny. It's not going to be funny.
Are you with me on this now?
Yeah, I am. After watching the game yesterday, bath time, I am. Don't get me wrong. I still want to get into Champions League and get the money.
Yeah.
But we get in there. We have to be realistic about, where we really can be finishing, because it's going to take us a good few. If we're doing it by league plays, we're done. We have to sneak in by summer and spend the money properly. You know what I mean? And hope by some miracle that they finish in a half decent position, because them teams in the Champions League are making a wedge of money, man.
Mm. And is that what it is? Do you think that it's money that gets us back to the top of the table?
Yeah, it has to be, because we have to buy better players.
Yeah,
you can only coach. You can't. You can improve players. Maybe 5-10%, but if you can go out there and buy a player who's got everything that you already want, that you don't have to train in, and all you have to do is give them motivation, then it makes your job a lot easier. So I think you do need the money to buy the higher caliber of players.
I agree. I saw a report, honestly, about 10 years ago that said to go up one place in the Premier League, you had to outspend by 100 million. Like, that's how much it costs to go up one place. And God knows what that is now.
1.3 billion in our case, and that might be right, to be fair.
You have to go up £66 a ticket. Let's do some comments. So I actually want to talk about something related to this. I completely agree with Stuart. Scholes can say what he wants. Absolute legend. The club is like the Premier League era is built on players like Scholes and Neville and Giggs, Keane. I think that they're more than entitled to sort of pronounce what they think about the team, because they're the only ones keeping the standards, in my opinion. Is my mouse working? Yeah. Right. We deserve better saying, is anyone performing consistently at this club at a high level? The away fans. Wow, POTUS. I think he's friends with you, isn't he, Abbott? He's only going to keep Yoro and Maguire.
Well, I say we talk on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. You converted him.
Yeah, but he lives in Canada. I mean, we're friends on Instagram. He's not coming around like playing records with me or whatever every Sunday. But, I suppose, we are virtual.
If he were, he'd mention Xerxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, you missed your calling in life as a missionary. It's nothing to do with Scholes that Rasmus has got the first touch of an elephant. So the point is that like what Scholes is saying shouldn't really affect their footballing ability. You highlighted this one for me, Abba. Xerxes is a class player. I don't know if you read the rest, but not in the Premier League, maybe.
That's a maybe. He was certain about him being a class player. Maybe about the Premier League. So I'll go with that.
Right, Stuart says that De Ligt never finishes 90 minutes. Solid, gives his all. De Ligt has an excellent attitude from Andrew, who also says that the centre-backs are the best unit at the club. I suppose that depends on if you include the goalkeeper or not, to be honest. If you don't include the goalkeeper, I might agree with that.
He said our centre-backs, our CBs. So he said nothing about goalie. Well done, Andrew. He's right. Yeah. Andrew's not right very often, in my humble opinion. Joking, Andrew. But
I'm not
I think
joking.
He's right there.
He's really right.
Goalie's trash and midfield is trash.
Yeah, I do think that you have to take the goalkeeper as part of like that defence, though. He's letting them all down, but I would love a talker at the back, to be honest. Like I was watching like Van Dijk tonight, just chatting away, and that seemed to be 90% of what he was doing. It was just telling people where to go, and it's so important to have that organisation. Yarley's saying De Ligt has stayed fit though. Has he stayed fit? I mean, yeah, compared to Shaw and Mount and Martinez, I mean, the big thing I always remember at De Ligt is where he got his head cut open and they had to sew it up 3 times against Brentford, and then we conceded, like, incredibly predictably when they wouldn't let him on the pitch.
That was annoying.
We deserve better. You've let yourself down here with third manager in 6 months. Look how many managers he's had in 8 years. I think it's 11. Andrew's saying they're not terrible. They're not great. Tyrone, honestly. Like, this love-hate relationship you have with De Ligt is incredible. Like, I get DMs from Tyrone saying, I'll never question you again. He's awful. And then you do this. Bruno, he's been shocking. Bruno. I think, to be honest, I think if you put Bruno in for Odegaard at Arsenal, you get more goals. And that's what I believe that Arsenal are losing. So I don't know. Don't know about that one. I think Celtic could beat us right now. I didn't see Celtic.
I did.
And we got Chat Sport in the house. Right. So I suppose the follow-up to this is that Martinez has clapped back at Scholesy on Instagram with a really puerile comment, where he's let me check what he said. Como le duele al mufa lo tires en Argentina y no sobrevive. Right. So what that means is this ginger guy is always like, it's always in pain, but I think the translation would be he's just always running his mouth. Pop him in Argentina and see if he survives. Like, pop him in Argentina and see how he gets on. So it's like this ginger guy is always running his mouth. Let's put him in Argentina and see how he gets on, would be my translation of it.
He's saying ginger?
Yeah, so like in Argentina, they call a ginger person a jinx or a curse.
A bit like McAllister, isn't it? McAllister.
Yeah. It's not, I wouldn't say that it's particularly offensive or something. It's why I said, like, you know, it's like calling someone a ginger nut or something. It's like, you know, who's the boxer from Mexico?
Canelo.
Sorry?
Canelo.
Canelo, yeah, that means cinnamon. and is used as a term for ginger people in Mexico. Like, gingers get it wherever they go. Shout out to Andrew. But I just wish our players would just shut their mouths sometimes. Not having Martinez talking to Paul Scholes like this. You wouldn't survive in Argentina. Paul Scholes would have been one of your top 5 midfielders ever.
Well, who's not surviving in the Premiership? And that's Martinez. 2 long-term injuries, humiliation, and yeah, really struggled out there. So he should really keep quiet right now.
Look, got a bit of Spanish. What was my favourite meal when I was in South America? I don't know. Like, I just used to eat anything. I didn't even worry about carbs back then. I was running so much.
Carbs after 8 o'clock, yeah.
No, you allow carbs after. You allow carbs as part of your recovery after a match. But no, like, just in general, you shouldn't do it. It's on Instagram, Mr. POTUS. But I think, right, what I'm interested in about this is that, like, I really don't like the fact that there's now another division in our fan base between legends of the club and social media, where people are getting stuck in on Paul Scholes for expressing an opinion when they sit there pontificating about things that they don't know about all day, including myself. And I was wondering what you kind of thought about that. Like, is it helpful? Is it good? Like, what's the deal, Yabba?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I like to hear from these former players, for one, because they've done it. If you're talking about someone with experience is stronger than an argument. So let's give you 2 scenarios. You're in a room with Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, talking about Man United's current affairs, or how we're performing, and then you go down the local pub and you got John, Jim, and Dave talking about Man United, and they've had a few drinks and they're swearing and cussing. Who would you rather? Who's more qualified to talk about the club? Experience is always stronger than an argument, even if it hurts and it stings like it does with Martinez right now. I'd rather hear it from someone who's been there and done that. It means a lot. As Roger Mayweather used to know, you don't know shit about boxing. He used to say that you don't know shit about boxing because unless you've been in it and you've got experience. So you have to listen to someone who's in the know. We get a lot of sort of coaches and trainers, people around the game these days who talk. Everyone talks on football. Look, we've got a podcast and we're talking on football. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everyone gives their opinion, but and not everyone's going to be right all the time. But I think when Gary Neville, when Paul Scholes, when Roy Keane, when they talk about Man United, I sometimes think maybe Roy Keane could be a bit biased. So they've got to protect their thing because they were winners. They say, well, look at us. They're on a pedestal saying, look at us. We've done it, and these guys aren't doing it. That's how it seems to the players.
Do you think they do that, though?
I don't, but that's how it seems to the players and the fans. When we're doing poorly, and then you've got someone who's done it, been there, done that, and saying, no, you need to do A, B, and C. This is wrong, this is wrong. They say, look at you. You're sitting on your pedestal thinking you've done it all or whatever. You've got to get that. And anyone who goes, there's a quote by Roberto Baggio. He says, they said to him, why don't you do punditry? And he said, I don't want to be insulting players, and some of these people do insult who are on pundits like Jamie Carragher. I think he was referring to Jamie Carragher. Can't dribble or can't play football properly. So why would Baggio, who was rated the best player in the world in '94, '93, and just amazing player, why would he go and talk about football? We used to die for Paul Scholes to say something. We wanted to know, but he kept himself quiet, never gave interviews or anything like that. Now he is talking, people complain about it. I love him. I love him as a player. I'm interested to know what his insight into the game is because the way he played his football, he seemed to have a brain, seemed to know what he's talking about. So when he talks, we listen. You might not like what he says, but I'd rather listen to him than Dave and John down the pub.
Mr. B. Dave and John?
I understand what Yabba's saying. Um, some of the stuff Paul Scholes says I don't like. I'll be honest, some of it. Paul Parker, I hate. I think he's never got anything positive to say about Man United. I get it, but I just feel that when Ollie was in charge and Ollie was doing shit, there was no criticism because he was their mate. You know, if they've got their mates,
Yeah.
they don't dig him out. They won't dig him out in the press, no matter how bad or how toxic it gets. I mean, they didn't call out Rashford leaving until they probably knew he was leaving. Rio, wouldn't have said a bad word about Rashford last season, but this season, obviously, he knew what was going on. Oh, get out of the club, blah blah blah. I just feel that they they've got their favourites. Certain players they don't want to go in on, and certain players they won't hesitate to go in on. So look, it is what it is. It depends on who you prefer and who you want to listen to, innit? Some of Scholes' stuff I think is trash.
At what?
So I can't think of a few things, but I know he said a
Okay.
couple of things that have got me a bit rattled. I mean, Roy Keane has said stuff, but maybe it's just what you want to hear. You don't want to hear anybody cussing your club. You know what I mean? Regardless of who they are or their prestige, But at the same time, the truth hurts, and right now we're all hurting. So it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think that like when you play for a club like Manchester United, and you can put Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, like maybe even Liverpool in these things, there's always going to be like ghosts at the party, people who have played there before who have kind of like built the foundations that you're currently playing on, and you have to be strong enough to deal with the fact that you're at a huge club that is an institution that is part of people's lives and things, and it will be there long, long after you, and you have to accept the criticism and things, or you just don't have the sort of the mentality to be at the club. And when I see players like Martinez saying to Paul Scholes, you wouldn't last 5 minutes in Argentina, or that's the kind of intent that he's given. I just think it's a terrible, terrible mindset, and I love our ex players. Like, I know he's not very popular, but I still love Gary Neville. I'll never stop loving Paul Scholes. I even have a lot of love for Ryan Giggs, despite his extracurricular activities. And I just think it's a real shame that we, like with Yabba's example of Dave, John, and Derek down the pub or whatever, they're absolutely allowed to say whatever they want, but our legends who, they did this day in day out for a decade, like getting up, training, committing, and things like that, aren't allowed to do it. And to your point, Yabba, about Roberto Baggio, like, look, football isn't dribbling and passing. That's not all of it. You've got to have people running off the ball, working, and things like that. And like, I think Jamie Carragher's a very good pundit. I still don't like him, but I think he's fantastic. And I hate the fact that we're driving wedges between every aspect of the club, fans and players, like players and the team, staff, managers, commentators. It's such a horrible situation, and the only people who can sort it out really are the players themselves and get us up the table.
Interesting. That. Just want to get the quote so I get this right. Here he says, I've got it now. So just about Badger, because I think it's really important, related to what Scholes said. He says, I find it unpleasant to judge players on the pitch. That's why I don't do any TV punditry work. I see colleagues who couldn't complete 3 dribbles condemn players on air.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not all. Football is not about dribbling, is it? Might be one of the more fun parts of it, but that's not the complete picture. Baggio needed Contes and stuff like that around him to
He's
let
saying
him
he
do
finds it
stuff like that.
unpleasant to judge players on the pitch. And that's the job of a pundit, unfortunately. So he finds it unpleasant. That's why he doesn't do it. Simple as that.
Would you do it, Yabba?
I don't think I'm qualified to talk that sort of level on football, unless I was did some sort of. I wouldn't want to do it without having the qualifications or feeling confident. You get confidence by achievement, so I'd have to do something in the game, maybe do some sort of course or manage a high level, whatever, to get some confidence in talking about something like that on the high level, you know. But you get guys. Who's the guy who wears the cap or tie? Flex. I don't think Flex has got qualifications, but he's got good personality. He can talk about football. But when it comes to, I don't check Flex to say, you know, he's going to tell me something.
Yeah, what are counter-pressing structures?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know, and I can imagine I played at a higher level than him or whatever, but he gets an audience. So, but if he's put on the spot, he doesn't say. This is why when they had that show with Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, where they have all the podcasting guys in the audience.
The overlap, yeah.
That's why they're not sitting on that chair. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, let's say, right, that Match of the Day comes out and it's for your league. I may ask you to come and be a pundit.
Talk about that, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and would you go in on players?
I've learned, I'll tell you something now, I've had a good week this week where I've had 2 players message me privately and say some really nice things about, and it's because I'm managing differently and I don't go in on players as I used to. At halftime the other day, I had to reiterate, I didn't call players out. I let them do their thing, but all I wanted to do, I said I would only have a go at you because some people get annoyed with me and they realise I'm consistent with it. I said I'd only have a go at you because I shut myself hoarse sometimes when you don't follow my shape, what I'm asking you shape-wise. If they give the ball away, everyone makes mistakes. I understand that. They don't play it simple or do things. I might say something, but if they go out of shape and they're all disjointed, that's when I have a go at them, and they realise that, and that's why I think I'm consistent with that. I think once you start having to go at people, you can break them. Like Mr. B, I want your thoughts on this as well. If you're having to go at someone, singling someone out, that's not a good look from the sidelines. My brother, for example, because he's my brother, sometimes I really try to. It's my way of encouraging him by telling him how to run his game. But then I realise when you're on the pitch, you're hearing something. They're saying, "Don't say that," because then the opposition's going to know I'm going to do that. Or do you understand what I'm saying? So now, so now I'm just like I try and keep my mouth shut and not say too much, and then at halftime speak my stuff. But don't single people out. You don't want to make them lose their confidence. I think you can do that if you target someone all the time. You might have a player who's very poor, constantly making mistakes, but you've got to find a way to get the message over to them. So maybe speak to them privately and try to get the best out of them. Mr. B?
I make them sub. I make them. That's what I do. I've been doing it long enough. There's no point in cussing. There's no point in moaning. The reason why they play on a Saturday with me is because they're not professional footballers, you know. So you have to accept the standard that they are in it. Oh, I think I'm great until I go out there and try and hit a ball 40 yards. In my head, it will go 40 yards, but that's not my game. My game was about dribbling. So if I know somebody can dribble, I try and get them in a position that benefits their game to dribble. Yeah. Now, if they play shit 2 games in a row, this is how I tend to do it. They tend to be sub. And then it's less time as sub. And then after a while, they understand that, I'm not starting again. I either have to step up my game or don't play. Now, if they come to me and ask me, I will tell them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not your brethren. You come to play football for me. We might bust joke and yam a pizza and drink rum after the game, but you're not my brethren. You're not. Yeah. You know, you're not. That's how life is. If you want to play, I offer them the platform to play. If they want to take the platform, great. If they don't, it's no headache. It's no headache. As long as you paid your money, you don't cost. That's the most important. Pay their subs. There's subs.
True.
As long as they don't cuss me to my face, that's fine. I mean, I've got man who cuss my captain, who cuss me to my captain. Oh, he's this and that, this and that's fine. Because if you tell me to my face you're disrespecting me, you can fuck off. It's simple. So that's what my captain's there for. Bounce off him, and then he'll come and talk to me, and then I'll tell him either what to say to them, or I'll still make them sub again. It's no headache.
And would you criticise them the way Scholesy has?
No, you know what? I used to. No, I think back in the day, probably not now. I think I'm a lot more empathetic to people's feelings as I was then. Maybe that's an age thing, to be fair, or an experience thing. I wouldn't. I mean, I know managers who sub players before half time because they're not playing good. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. As bad as a player is playing, I always try and give him to at least half time. You know, if you can give him a couple minutes afterwards, fine. But you try to get into a half time. To me, you can't let a man leave his house and give him less than 45 minutes. If you knew he was that bad, then he wouldn't be starting.
Yeah, like if his kids are there or like the girlfriend or whatever, like it's not like at the level that you can't be doing that to someone.
Yeah, boss nodding. You said, "Is that a nod? Have you subbed somebody at half time because of their performance?"
Yeah, but have you been subbed off?
Like, me?
No.
Oh, I was going to say.
So unfair. Yeah, but haven't you come on a game and then got subbed off after being a substitute?
I don't want to repeat the story. It's still nasty, yeah. Mr. B, don't do that. What have you done, Bartai? What have you done?
I love this story.
Yeah. So basically, we were playing. This is in New Zealand, and we were playing a game, and I was sub, and then I can't remember, it was kind of tight. The game was kind of tight, and I wanted to come on, but I didn't want to come on once. I wanted to start so I could get a feel of the game.
Yeah,
coming on like that. So he knew I was the quickest in the team. He knew I was one of the strongest in the team. He put me up front, and I can play up front. But he wanted me to do these shuttle runs to stop them from playing the ball out of playing. And he expected me to run from one end of the pitch, which is 50 yards or 60 yards width, and shut people down. And I had to do it in a way where I was bending my run. I was doing it my own style. And because he wasn't happy with the way I was doing it, just in the second half, he brought me on, they say 60 minutes. And after about 10 minutes, he dragged me off again. He said, "You're not doing your job." And I was fuming because it's humiliating, isn't it? It's embarrassing. Yeah. And I felt I was doing it as much as I could. And no one could do that. It's impossible. You can't do it. You've got to try to put yourself in a position where you can try and close things down. But just expect me to run, sprint back and forth. It's impossible to do that. So I was really disappointed. I felt that was bad management because it really didn't help me in any way. And it sort of destroyed a lot of my confidence.
Well, shout out to Stuart, who's given us £2 to try and get your confidence back up again. You spend that on ticket money increases. Like, don't worry about us. Although Mr. B will have got us demonetised tonight, so that's absolutely
you realise
lovely.
If you split the 99 upside down, it's 66. So maybe that's what he's trying to do.
Is this more of your numerology?
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. I think we're gonna end it here, aren't we?
Yeah. Just
okay.
Just thinking, Ineos, they run Mercedes, don't they? They own Mercedes Formula One.
I think they might sponsor them. I doubt they own Mercedes.
They own Grenadier. I think they own. Don't they own? Is it Grenadier? It looks a bit like one of them old Land Rovers, isn't it? I think they make that car.
And did you say earlier, Mr. B, about what's the sailing, America's Cup?
Yeah, the American Cup and the America's Cup.
Well?
Yeah.
And Nice apparently are climbing the table and doing well now.
Here we go.
Close to top four. I'm just curious about Ineos. So obviously, what they may mean earlier when they're talking about you said about digging up. What did they use it for? Fracking. What's Ineos? Is Ineos like a...
Ineos is a petrochemical company.
Oh, okay.
And they like, I think under Cameron, like maybe 10, 15 years ago, they sold plots for future fracking. And then it got made illegal. But Ineos bought a lot of these plots. And one of them is incredibly close to Old Trafford. Like, when I say incredibly close, I mean like 50 metres, 100 metres, something like that. So it's not underneath Old Trafford, but might as well be. And one of the sort of conspiracy theories is that for some reason, United, that Ineos bought a football club, like, for almost 2 billion in order to go fracking, which is currently illegal. And that should tell you, I mean, that should, maybe not for you, but for most people, that should be enough to tell you that it's a load of nonsense and not really worth paying attention to. But we'll be back tomorrow night, will we?
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow.
But not on Friday, boys. Valentine's Day.
Ah, yes.
Who kids are... I'll be here, man. I'll be here.
You can spend it with the chat then.
Yeah, you're damn right, bro.
Lovely Valentine's.
Spend it with the missus.
Hmm?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't pretend. I love her every day. She's all right.
Nice.
Big up with Windsor better with the fracking mess. I like that one. And right out Stephanie's school. And big up to everyone in the chat. Thanks again for tuning in to the Man United Agenda. It's a late one.
What's this about, though?
Because we call him Tybo. Tyrone Tybo. He does Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, innit? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's why he's got a sexy little leg there for us.
Yeah.
I thought this was something to do with Valentine's Day. The Williams brothers.
Oh, God.
All right. Thanks very much.
Right.
Thank you for everyone watching. You can put if you put something in the comments afterwards, we do read them. But yeah, like, I enjoyed that show, so it's a lack a notch from me.
Like a notch from me. Oh shit, and like a notch from me.